Right, so I've got tea. And I've got a presentation that I got to get through. Originally, this was like a whole one-man band show sort of thing that I was doing. But because we've had to pivot, and yes, anyone who is a fan of Friends, go ahead and say the line, I'm making space for you. We good? Cool. Okay, so my presentation is on George Lucas and John Williams. Um, and why did I choose these two crusty old dudes? One, their partnership, their combination of work reflects very much the stories that I want to tell. I've always loved that sort of classical storytelling, Arthurian myths, going all the way back to, Gilgamesh, those real big epic adventures. And I feel that nothing really encapsulates that as in the modern age as well as these two do. Also, I feel a lot of emotional resonance with these stories as well as the music that John Williams creates. It gets me way deep in my feels just hearing certain themes and scores that he's done. And of course, why else? But I had an early introduction to Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So, is their stuff really great, or is it just nostalgia? You decide. These two have been partners since the late 70s. And how it all got started was that Steven Spielberg, another director who I know everybody knows, made the introduction between Lucas and Williams. Now, at the time, George Lucas was this maverick filmmaker in Hollywood who was not getting a lot of love from the studios because he wanted to keep like his own independence while creating films. And John Williams was coming off of his first Oscar win. So, there was definitely a reacher and a settler in that relationship. But when they came together, George Lucas has repeatedly stated that the process of creating A New Hope, Star Wars Episode 4, was super stressful. He actually was hospitalized during the production of the film due to him thinking that he had some sort of heart attack going on. It just turned out to be a massive case of anxiety. But during that process, that very stressful journey that he went on, one of the only parts of it that was not stressful for him was watching how John Williams made his music. Um, they very much wanted to go in a different direction. They took a big creative risk by using John Williams to just do complete orchestral sound, um, which at the time was kind of falling out of fashion and had never really been done in like a sci-fi, science fantasy sort of film before. But to credit Lucas and his vision, I don't think Star Wars would have been what it was without that soundtrack. Um, One of the ways John Williams really contributed to this music was by assigning a particular signature or musical enemy or entity to personalize each character and where they were in the story by making sure that the audience could immediately identify a character and their emotional state through music led to a very much a oh, I'm blanking on it, emotional resonance with the audience. Um, and not to mention the use of that orchestra as opposed to going to the general sort of soundtrack that sci-fi films had been experiencing at the time was enormously handy because it can produce just a fabulous range of sounds and emotional expression. Um, Now, why do I believe that these crusty old dudes are pretty cool despite being both crusty and old? And what do I take from all that? Um, I think the biggest one is that their work is so much complementary of each other. Um, Star Wars isn't what it is without John Williams' music. Uh, in a way, the music of Star Wars is almost a character into of its or in and of itself, which is so telling that one could hear the Imperial March or one could hear the opening theme that we all see during the opening crawl during those films and immediately be transported not only to that world with those characters, but also into the emotional state at which that uh, music is supposed to bring us there. Um, Another big thing that I really appreciate about their partnership is just how they were both willing to take risks on each other. You know, George Lucas is kind of this no-named director or very little name, almost somewhat of a bad reputation due to his wanting to stay away from the Hollywood system. And at the point in his career when they were introduced, John Williams is winning an Oscar. He's so entrenched in the Hollywood system and benefiting from it that he really didn't need to take this job, but he did anyways. Um, and sort of the last thing that I really want to take from this is that uh, they found fulfillment in each other's work. John Williams loved the visuals of Star Wars and was so inspired by them that I think he produced some of his best, if not most iconic work. And watching Williams' work and hearing the fruits of his labor brought George a sense of peace that he was desperately trying to find during that time. So, yeah, that's my presentation. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share with everyone, and turn on that bell for other notifications. And if you want to follow my Patreon, you can get the full unedited version of this video in which I go on to say how George Lucas's ex-wife basically saved the entire series because, of course, she did. Thanks.